Morning. How you doing? Today, I'm going to teach you how to time travel, just like it says in the video. And today, I'm going to pull apart what you think is time traveling and re-explain it to you in a way that maybe you've never thought of it before. And I think that in understanding what I'm getting at, that maybe you too will change your perception on where you're going. I really like it because it's time travel is always associated with an impossibility. I love it. So there's a concept in the world that only exists as something you cannot do. Let's just start with that. I've seen some pretty interesting theoretical physics and different hypotheses towards how one would time travel. I was thinking about it this morning. Really was. And I realized some weird things based on my philosophy of life and how I look at it and look at it differently, and how I'm never satisfied with looking at something through one facet of its crystal. I want to go and look at through different windows of what reality is at it. Really, something really weird about time travel. If the only consistent in motion change, whatever word you want to use, you feel comfortable having this conversation with me about, that if that's the only truth, movement, everything's in movement, even quantumly at a vibrational state, all molecules are constantly in movement. There's nothing that's not in movement. Just because we can't perceive how fast something's truly moving through our naked eyes doesn't mean we haven't scientifically proven that it's moving a lot faster than we can see. So we can agree to that, right? And we can agree that based on scientific study and measurement, that we know that we experience the entire world on a 5 millisecond time loop. It happens, and then 5 milliseconds later, we understand it. It takes that long for us to hear, taste, smell, see, all of it. 5 milliseconds. We know that's correct. We know we're being fed motion, the only consistent, on a 5 millisecond loop. This is where reality gets weird. This is where time travel actually exists. So the idea that's presented to the world as time travel is the concept of going backwards from the experience, losing experiences. It would stand to reckon that if you went backwards, you would go backwards away from the experiences that you understood. I'm already clear out there in left field. You ain't never heard anybody talk about anything like this. I guarantee it. So if time travel is taking away from experience, if it's stopping forward movement, if it's stopping the natural progression of everything, then yeah, I agree completely that time travel is completely 100% not possible. Unless maybe you smack your head. The way that you're talking about time travel could be accomplished by someone losing all of their memories and being like a child again. That would be time travel according to the actual way you're presenting it. It doesn't matter the words that you're using and the concepts that have been presented to humanity as what time travel is. It's just that if you ever thought about it in the way that you fucking meant it, the way I heard it, the way that I'm speaking to you directly about, why don't you just say if you want to time travel, you have to get a lobotomy and lose all of your memories, and therefore you have traveled back to a point where none of this makes any sense, and everything forward will be brand new, and you'll be in a, even if you learned and were a Formula One race driver, now you don't understand a bicycle anymore, and therefore you have traveled in time to a time before you understood what you currently know. Now they talk about seeing different realities. And that's not time travel, that's alternate realities. That's what CERN's trying to do by rip the fucking page. That's That's what the whole point of their forward progression is to look into the universe right next to ours. You can say what you want, but I read the research. I know what they're up to. I know what the point of that is over there. I understand what they're attempting to do. You call it a portal if you believed in magic. But what they're really trying to do is simply create a vibration that allows them to see through the edge of reality into the next one. And then the end goal is, imagine if you could do that, you could just take all the resources from the fucking reality right next to yours, right? It's about greed. It's the whole point of CERN. They don't give a shit. Nobody cares about the shit that you're presenting that matters so much to 17 people as physicists in the world. How much money and how much effort. And you're really telling me that the whole point of CERN is to make those 17 people think about reality differently. Because you want to talk about who understands quantum physics and who understands particle physics and things of that nature to that degree. There's less than 20 people in the fucking world. But all of that, multiple governments and all of that, and it's only because of that, right? So those 17 fucking people can catch a better understanding. They built 20 miles, 3 miles underground in a big circle. So 17 people could get smarter. I mean, you don't have to agree with why I think that it's there, but you have to at least agree that it's kind of suspicious to me, at least, and maybe now to you, that if under 20 people can understand what's actually going on at CERN, why is it such a big deal? Because way more people than 20 understand what's going on, and everything else that's going on, we're not being told about, pretty much. And anytime a story does come out, it's immediately spit upon, and it's a conspiracy theory, and there's no way to. So why have so many billions of dollars and so many people that don't have a fucking clue what's actually going on at CERN? Maybe I'm being unrealistic. Maybe there's 200 people out of 325 billion people, or whatever the number is. I should probably look that up so people can't mock me for my lack of understanding of the knowledge, right? But the point is, even if it was 1,000 people in the whole world that can understand what's going on at CERN, what percentage of that is the world population? You gotta at some point agree there's probably something more going on at CERN than you're getting fed thinking you're educated about what the fuck is happening in the scientific community. We can at least probably come to this land bridge, right? Even if we don't agree what's on the other side of it, we could probably agree there's definitely this weird land bridge between what you're being told and just from an economic business sense why it would be going on. So we could figure out how the universe started, like we could control that, or we're going to come up with some machines on this world that in any way, shape, or form is ever going to be able to recreate that, right? That much energy release, if the math is to be believed, could be contained and controlled on a planet with a fucking red sun in our orbit, or we're in its orbit. You get what I mean, right? We're going to even try to fucking tinker with that? No, we're not. The math to even figure out how to fuck with it is indescribable to humankind at this point. I don't even think AI could get their fucking grasp around it, because AI can only learn based on how we're learning. You do understand the problem with the programming with AI, right? It's only how we think that programs in the parameters of how it now learns. So if any of our base shit is off, it's going to learn things that aren't right. All you people programming the AI right now, and you know that some of the basics are fucking, it's a lie. It's a lie, and you know it's a lie. And by giving it to a computer and telling it that it's truth, do you have any understanding of what's going to be created from that? Speaking on something like this that makes sense based on the parameters of the things that are going on, it's also time travel. The ability to think ahead, to plan your future, to think in a way that allows you to make space for an experience tomorrow. However, I did figure out what time travel was. Now that you've listened to my rant, I will explain it to you. I will explain to you what I think time travel is. And I'll explain it to you in a way you're going to have to Google some information, and then you're going to have to think about it really hard. Because I don't think you can go against the universal law of movement. I've never seen anything stationary. There's nothing not in movement. You go, look at that tree out there. You never seen a tree grow because you can't sit down long enough to watch that tree grow. You couldn't just sit there for 2 years and do nothing except look at that tree and watch it slowly but surely it grew over a fucking building. Trees grow. And not only that, we're moving 36,000 miles an hour around the sun in orbit, right? There's nothing that's not in movement just by that definition. Even inert things with no life in them, just carbon, no oxygen, no water, just carbon. And even carbon based life forms, beyond that, just straight carbon is still in movement at 36,000 miles an hour. Stop it. However, there is something that allows everyone to time travel. All of you do it all the time. You time travel. And not only that, but you skip into alternate realities to time travel. That's what's so crazy about it, because you have reality, you're moving. You can move in any direction you want. And we are limited by our belief that a movement means hands, it means walking, it means running, it means driving. That somehow movement is me opening and closing my eyes, or me speaking to you, that this is movement. It's not movement. It's interacting with reality. Time travel is movement. So where do you go when you wanted to time travel, right? You do, to your memories all the time. And you go, no, listen. Harvard did a study. It's like 2017, I believe, was the year that it was done. It might have been 2018. I'm sorry that I don't have the exact date. It's very easy to go and Google. And they proved through their theories and their models that we remember things in 12 dimensions. We use 12 different dimensional shapes, and flat, and there's triangle, that's 3 sides, right? 4 sides. Square is 6, right? You get it, right? But there's 12 of them, 12 shapes that we use, 12 sides. And if you look at sides, then you understand it's dimensions. That's the word, dimension. Don't let them fool you with some sci-fi bullshit that your parents fucking made you hate. Dimensions are how many dimensions. Get it? And you remember in 12 dimensions. We don't see things in 12 dimensions. We see things and experience things in 3 dimensions. Get it? Okay. So if we see and experience life in 3 dimensions, but we remember in 12 dimensions, and what they mean by this in layman's terms is such. When you remember something, you don't just remember what happened. You remember the smells and the tastes, maybe. You remember the words that somebody spoke and the feelings that you got during that time, be they good or evil. Especially the evil ones are a lot easier to remember when someone made you feel afraid or alone, and you remember that and you get that emotional onset from that memory. They call it fucking trauma and being triggered, right? No, that's time travel. I speak directly to you and say that itself is actual time travel. It's the only time when you're not in this time and you're in a different time that only exists in your mind. It doesn't exist anywhere else. You can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, but you can create it in your own mind and get those 5 sensations without actually experiencing those 5 sensations in the 3D. You don't just recreate your 5 sensations, you recreate what it looked like, what it felt like, the presence of things, everything about your memory You have to go 9 dimensions past the third to get to the 12th. In your mind, you travel 9 dimensions beyond what you experience and call real and call life. 9 dimensions. And the craziest thing is, as you get older, as the memory gets faded and it changes, it's still just as valid, even though it's probably not even how it looked, smelled, tasted anymore. That's how you remember it. And it is because it's your memory. And your memory is the portal to a time that doesn't exist, that never existed. Because even even people with photogenic minds, photographic minds, photogenic minds, that's a good one. I'm gonna do a video on that someday. Even with being able to remember everything to a T, everything, to me, that person is a professional and a timekeeper. They keep time. They have the ability not just to experience other timelines and other dimensions, they literally are able to keep perfect record of that time. And so when you start looking at time travel like this, when you change it up, when you go, wait a minute, I am a time traveler. And you go, well, wait a minute. If I create memories this way and they're real and I even get emotions off it, my 5 senses spark and my mind goes, hey, we're experiencing this. And it's just in my mind. It's weird because it's almost like my mind's here, but the experience is supposed to be in my mind, but it's somewhere else that triggers my mind to have the experience again. Do you see how weird that is? And in having that experience again, you can get the anxiety, you can get the fear, you can get the anger, you can get, you can't tell me you don't because you do. You feel a certain kind of way about certain situations that weren't resolved properly in your life, don't you? And the only reason that that exists is because you've created it outside of your mind for you to experience. You want to look at it, the duality of mind, there it is. A memory triggers you to feel a certain way. Your senses are what make you feel a certain way. How can a memory make you feel a certain way? Because you're creating something that makes you feel a certain way. You're having an experience, just like in the 3D, that makes you feel a certain way, and then you react to it. But they tell us that it's trauma. They never tell us that we're in control of this. They never express to us in psychology that somehow, if we think about it this way, that we can gain control over what it is we're experiencing. I'm time traveling to a past situation that I remember as feeling this way. And I can go there whenever I want, and I can forget about it if I want to. It can never exist. And if it doesn't exist as my memory, did it ever exist? Observation. Show me where my logic's off. Show me how I didn't just teach you that you're a time traveler and that traveling through time isn't what you thought it was. Show me where I'm fallible in my calculations in examining something that to me makes perfect sense. And that they've proven with science that it's actually been measured, that it's been shown to be true by something else other than opinion. Show me how your opinion without science is more valid than truth through the science of understanding and observation. Tell me how you're not a time traveler. Tell me how you don't create realities that only you experience, only you feel, and they only last as long as you put thought in them. Tell me how you're not in control of time and reality as a whole. I'm having experiences now, but everything I think about, everything I imagine, everything I fear, everything I hope for, it's all in my head. How are you not God? How are you not simply sitting still trying to figure out how to remember how to be born? This idea of time travel, if you look at it from a point of taking away from yourself and your own experience and going somewhere else in a different point in time that you have no experience from, bang yourself in the fucking head, and you have accomplished time travel exactly as it's described in the way that it's presented to us. Or accept the fact that your imagination and how you think is the very engine that drives the quantum forces around you. That you yourself are the creating force for everything you observe. That your very opinion about something dictates how you view it. You're a time traveler. Congratulations on learning about it. They've hijacked your machine. You should steal your machine back. You should quit allowing other people to drive your machine and create scenarios in your life that in any way, shape, or form allows you later to recreate it over and 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 over again, so they have a place to live. Because some people understand that there's more here than your 9 to 5. Some people believe that there's actually a soul in everybody's body. Isn't that crazy? And even if you don't agree with it, and even if you don't believe in it, can we at least agree that there's definitely probably some dirty people out there that not only believe in souls, but think that they can collect them and subvert them and subject them to horrors and turn them into less than they are? Can't we agree that we know people that treat people like that? Why would they do that if we don't have a soul? If it's all just mind and there's no battery, then why are they so concerned with you putting money in the collection plate or putting a pentagram on the ground and sacrificing a squirrel? How's there any difference in any of that? Why do you got to pay for your soul? And there's lots of stories other people already paid for your soul, but you got to keep paying for it. How come paradise didn't show up once it got paid for? Inquiring minds want to know. Love to hear your thoughts on this one. I'm sure people probably tuned in thinking that I was some kind of kook or I had something weird to say. And that's the best kind of best. It's the best. There's nothing I like better than re educating people on what someone must be based on their perception of how they look.